What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising you with new topics every single week and jamming you with your daily dose of UFC. And I know it's been a minute since our last episode. Ladies and gentlemen, after episode 300, I kind of took a break. I kind of took a week off, not because I wanted to, because I was super busy, and actually literally every night I got home and was falling asleep late. So it's been hectic. Getting a new corporate job is going fantastic. I've been grinding away with my hard labor for the time being, so that's been, it's been something. I'll say, it hasn't been awful. I will put it like that, but that's been doing good. Was able to get back to Minnesota, see Lexi, see a bunch of my friends, and a lot's transpired in the world. A lot in the UFC realm, WWE realm, the FIFA realm. A lot has gone on, so we got a lot of fun surprises, a lot of stuff to talk about on today's episode. And we're gonna be talking about new UFC fights, gonna be talking about WWE Night of Champions, we're gonna be talking about UFC events that UFC Baku, which recently happened, and even looking forward to UFC 330 and the official prediction, not actually 330 but more so 329. McGregor and Holloway is this week. We'll be doing a little preview of that card, but we'll be going full in depth on an episode dropping Wednesday of this week. So looking forward to all the stuff we have on today's episode. I've been meaning to record, and it's just been hectic. Life is hectic, as I'm sure you guys are all aware. And I'll be honest, I'm a 23-year-old guy in this United States of America, and it is tough to stand out, tough to make a name for yourself, but that's life as it is. And Jesus has got me, and I got you all with a little entertainment on today's show. So, for starters, of course, if no one knows, I record this live with literally no edits. So I think maybe I need to change the format of the Surprise Jab Podcast show. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud right now. But we have so many new UFC fights. Where do I begin? Some are big, some are small. Let's kick it right off. First starters, a little main event, UFC Sacramento. August 22nd, Anthony Hernandez and RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez. Number 6 and number 12 in the UFC rankings. According to the media, I'm still hesitant to use the meta rankings right now. But yeah, Anthony Hernandez recently lost to Sean Strickland. Absolute bummer for him. And they're giving him no easy fights. He's taking on Gregory Rodriguez, the absolute power puncher that he is, who recently flatlined Bruno Ferreira earlier this year. I think that was in April that took place. Oh my goodness. Bro absolutely put his lights out. Crazy stuff. So Hernandez is a grappler through and through, and as for Rodriguez, he is a striker as hard as they come. Gregory Rodriguez having his second UFC main event. First one happened last year. It was a fight of the night. Unfortunately, did lose to Jared Cannonier. And as for Anthony Hernandez, he's won 2 main events. He's also lost the main event. How will his 4th one go? We're going to have to see. But that's a fun fight. I favor Gregory Rodriguez in that, but who knows what's going to happen. Another fight for you. This one on UFC 330, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, August 15th. Jeff Hands of Steel Neal is back following his round 1 knockout loss to Uros Medic to take on Chidi and Chukani. Bit of a step down for Jeff Neal, but also a good opportunity for Chidi and Chukani to try and get a win over someone of very high status. Chidi does turn, I believe, 38 this year. I think he turns 38 this year, literally on the final day of the year, December 31st. And for Jeff Neal, he of course is 35. He's been in some big UFC fights here and there, but as of late hasn't been able to get it done. Of course, knockout losses to Uros Medic, to Carlos Prates. It's not been going well if you're a Jeff Neal fan. But I do like this fight for him. This is a striker's opportunity. These two are just going to stand and fight. So, should be fun. UFC 330. It's not the biggest fight to put on pay-per-view, but still, it's a good fight if you're a fan of both of these guys. Here's one for you coming at you, UFC 329. Cody Durden, who was originally supposed to take on Ode Osborne, is now taking on Alessandro Costa. Alessandro Costa, 16-5, 4-3 in the UFC, stepping in here to try and pick up a win. He holds wins over Matt Schnell, Kevin Borjas, Stuart Nicole. He's a very talented flyweight. And as for Cody Durden, he recently beat Rafael Filo in a fight I think a lot of people, such as myself, were counting him out in. Dude's an absolute killer out of Michigan, and you can't help but root for Cody Durden at times. So we'll see how he does. He's, trying to string some wins together now, and Alessandro Costa will not make it easy. But still, any fight is winnable for no love. I think I'm quickly starting to learn that. UFC Abu Dhabi, July 25th, has a absolute fantastic lightweight matchup. 2 undefeated debutantes, the Damian the Butcher Respecki making his debut against Magomed Zainukov, also known as Wildchenko, also known as John Pork. That is right, the man who trades with Khabib and Islam is finally fighting. Oh my gosh, bro is 31 years old and is just one of the most, this guy had one of the best Dana White's Contender Series fights, okay? But he was also on an Aiden Ross stream, and people were calling him John Pork. Like, it's just, I don't even know how to explain who Wildchenko is, but Magomed Zainukov is as fun of a fighter as it gets. He can strike, he can grapple. All of his wins have been fun. And he's taking on a great guy, the Butcher, Damian Respecki, who is 10-0. He's from Poland, and yeah, man has won a championship in the Fen League, which is one of their major fighting promotions. Very legit. Like I said, 10-0, born in 2001. That's going to be a very fun matchup. Another one for you for that UFC 330 card. Neil the Haitian Sensation Magny is back for his 38th UFC fight, and it will be his 46th professional fight as he takes on Ramesh Brahmaj. Ramesh Brahmaj, 5-4, wins over Billy Ray Goff, Mickey Gall, and Austin Vanderford. Ramesh has been on a roll. Of course, United States native, also has got a little Albanian, a little Kosanovan in him, and he's always been so close to getting a ranked opponent. I really hope he can get done against Neil. Neil's been pretty adequate as of late. I don't even know if he's coming off of a win. I legit cannot remember. Like, Neil Magny, it's been a fat minute since he fought, but he stays pretty active. I mean, it should speak for himself when he's having his 38th UFC fight coming up here now. Almost 40. He's approaching it. We're going with Ramesh, but that should be a fun matchup. Keeping those UFC 330 fights rolling. It's Unk Central around here on this card as Jalen Turner is back to take on Cal Fernandez. Cal Fernandez, 3-1 in the UFC, holds wins over Harry Hardwick and Guram Kudladze. Very talented, and he's finally back following that leg kick TKO over Harry Hardwick to take on Jalen Turner. Jalen, of course, has always been very talented here in the UFC. Recently picked up a win over Edson Barbosa after saying he was going to retire, and then bro just unretired to come back and fight Edson Barbosa. So, Jalen Turner, I wish you nothing but luck, my friend, but Cal Fernandez is going to make this as difficult as possible. This should be a fun matchup for you. UFC Sacramento getting an absolute lightweight masterclass as Marquel Medeiros, who is 11-1. He is currently undefeated in the UFC. Biggest win is probably over Austin Hummer. I'll say that. But he's taking on Mason Jones. And Mason Jones is just as good as you can get. Cage Warriors lightweight champion. Cage Warriors welterweight champion. Fight of the night winner. He had maybe my comeback of the year against Balaji Oki last year, okay? Bro is 18-2. He's 4-2 in the UFC, and this man is so fun to watch. So this one's going to be as close as it gets. Mason Jones recently beat Axel Sola in one of the best fights of 2026, and I'm just so torn on who to pick for this one. I'm going to have to let it simmer until mid-August. Let me tell you that. Let me just be honest, all right? I'm going to need some time to think about this. But as of right now, probably going to be going with Mason Jones. I love it too much. Now, I'll tell you what else I love. I'll tell you what I love so much, and that is the main event of UFC Shanghai coming at you at the end of August. It is Umar Nurmagomedov and Song Yadong. Here we go. Oh my goodness. We've been waiting for this to happen. Okay, Umar and Song both want title shots. Here's your eliminator. Here is your eliminator right here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting breaking news from my buddy about Monday Night Raw right now, and I'm trying to hold it together until we talk about WWE on this episode, but he's just texting me right now about Monday Night Raw, so we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, Song Yadong and Umar Nurmagomedov, they've been on a roll. Okay, Song recently won a main event over Devin Figueiredo. He fought Sean O'Malley earlier this year. He's been an absolute workhorse. He's only lost to champions here in the UFC or title challengers. And as for Umar, of course, he lost to Marab last year, one of my favorite title fights. and went out there, defeated Davison Figueiredo. He's defeated Mauro Bautista, and he's going for his third straight win, which will handsomely hand him a championship opportunity. So on August 29th, Shanghai, that is your main event. Here's another main event for you. UFC Vegas 120, August 8th, Mateusz Gamrot. Mateusz Gamrot is back following a submission win over Esteban Rivovics. A lot of people forgot about that. But also, of course, from the loss he suffered last year to Charles Oliveira. So Mateusz is back. He's hungry, but he's taking out a guy who called his shot and received it. The number 8th ranked lightweight will take on the number 12th ranked lightweight in Quinlan Sakian. Quinlan Sakian, 5-0 in the UFC. All of his wins entertaining. Some of the best knockouts you'll see against Manil Dariush, Nasrat Haqpasarat. Just a dime. Just a dime piece. He's such a beauty. He's young. He's hungry. Only 27 years old. And he called him out. He called out Mateusz Gamrot earlier this year after knocking out Manil Dariush and said, I want Mateusz Gamrot in a main event this year. And the UFC was like, yeah, screw it. Why don't we just give this guy the main event? It's perfect. It's a great test for Quinlan. And it's also a great skill for Mateusz Gamrot to prove if he is still as high level as he claims to be. Because I think he is. But also, the way Quinlan's been fighting, it's going to be hard to pick against him. So, yeah, Quinlan Sakian, Mateusz Gamrot, that's going to be an absolute banger. Another one for you. This one, so random. UFC Abu Dhabi, Santiago Ponzinibbio is back. At 40 years old, he is back to take on Sam the Future Patterson. Sam Patterson's only loss in the last 3 years is to MVP by decision. This guy, really good at welterweight, amazing fighter. And for Santiago Ponzinibbio, it's just weird to think he's still fighting, man. Turns 40 in September. My bad, he's 39 now. But, yeah, was a little torn on the fact he's still fighting. Sam Patterson will probably knock him out. Ponzinibbio, just retire, my boy. You have had some fun fights. Time to call it, my friend. Here's one for UFC Shanghai, the rematch between Alex Perez and Sue Mudaerji. It ended in turmoil at UFC Macau when Alex Perez, who was losing, got nutshotted, and the fight ended. I know Sue Mudaerji was going to win that fight, and then he hit him with a low blow. Now, funny enough, right now, Alex Perez is ranked at number 11 in the media rankings, but for meta, they have Sue Mudaerji at 12 and Perez at 14. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Sue Mudaerji, really hoping he get done, but with Alex Perez coming back for a rematch, it's going to be interesting. Run it back in Shanghai. I'm here for it. UFC Sacramento is also getting a light heavyweight matchup between two former ranked middleweights. That's going to be Rainer De Ritter, who is currently ranked at number 8, and Roma Dolidze, who's currently ranked at number 14. I presume once they move up, they'll be moved from the middleweight rankings. But I like this move for both of them. Rainer, kind of, I don't think he needed to move up, but he's lost 2 straight. Same goes for Dolidze. He has not won in... Gosh, when is the last time Roma Dolidze won a fight? I honestly couldn't tell you. 2024? 2023? I have no idea. Rainer De Ritter, I favor in this one. I'm a big Rainer De Ritter fan. So, sorry, Roman. I think you're going to lose this matchup. But it is at light heavyweight, so both of these guys will not have to cut. We'll see how it goes. Heavyweight also gets a good matchup on Sacramento. Sergey the Polar Bear Spivak is back following his decision win over Ante Delege to take on Vitor Petrino, who since moving up to heavyweight has gone out there, defeated Thomas Peterson, defeated Steven Asplund, defeated, what's his name? The guy who lost to everyone. I can't remember his freaking name, but he's been doing good. All right, since moving up from light heavyweight to heavyweight, Vitor has been on a roll, currently ranked at 10 in meta. But for the media rankings, they have Sergey at 6. So you can truly view this as the number 6 ranked heavyweight taking on an unranked heavyweight. Vitor's 14-2, 7-2 in the UFC, and his only losses, I know one's to Dustin Jacoby and one's to Anthony Smith. But those are old, those have aged. He's improved since then. I think it's best for business if Vitor wins this matchup, but I know Sergey Spivak is not going to make it easy. He's only 31, by the way, and he's one of the best gatekeepers so far. He's already had 15 UFC fights. All right, he's an absolute workhorse. He's the polar bear. Here's one, Farid Basharat getting a short notice opponent in John Garza for this upcoming UFC 329 card. Farid Basharat was supposed to take on Ethan Ewing. Would have been a banger matchup. Sadly, Ethan got actually injured. So they're giving a shot to John Mowgli Garcia. John was born October 30th, 2002. I'm 29 days older than him, which makes him 23, same age as me. And, that's all I got. That's all I got. I look at everything on Big Marcel. He's one of the best announcers or best one of the media personalities for announcing UFC fights. He usually finds out before your favorite breaker does. And yeah, good for him. But Farid Basharat is 15-0, 6-0 in the UFC. Wins over Damon Blackshear, Chris Gutierrez, and Gene Matsumoto. Farid should get this done, but it would be fun if the young up-and-comer John Garza wins at his debut. A little women's matchup for you. Deonna Barbosa, who is 9-4 in the UFC, wins over Ernesta Karakayich, Karine Silva, and Melissa Gatto. At UFC Oklahoma, will be taking on Ana Bandana Miliciano. She's making her debut. She's 6-1, born in 1997, and she was your Fury FC Women's Champion, and now she's getting an opportunity here in the UFC. I actually think she fought on The Ultimate Fighter, and she looks pretty fit. She looks pretty toned. Maybe I'll pick her to beat Deonna Barbosa, because I personally think Deonna Barbosa is kind of a boring fighter. Don't tell her I said that. And then the last two breaking fights, if you want to call them breaking news fights that were announced today. Ray Tazura will be taking on Kevin Borjas at UFC Shanghai. And if you didn't know, according to Meta, according to Mark Zuckerberg, Kevin Borjas is the number 10 ranked flyweight in the world. Makes absolutely no sense. He's 2-4 in the UFC, I might add. He has one win in like the last 4 years. So that's hilarious. Ray Tazura is 2-1 in the UFC. And I think his only loss, oh my gosh, is to Tatsuro Taira. If I'm not mistaken, his only loss is to Tatsuro Taira, if I'm thinking of that correctly. So he's absolutely a monster. He recently finished, I think it was Carlos Hernandez or Luis Garuli. I think it was Luis Garuli he just beat. But big fan of Ray Tazura. I hope he gets it done against Kevin Borjas. I'm still pissed Kevin Borjas is ranked according to the UFC meta rankings. But here is the big tell. Here's the big news of the day. So the fight is Marlon Vera versus Charles Jourdain. That's going to be your number 10 according to the media and unranked. But if you're listening to Meta, the number 13th ranked Charles Jourdain. You know, the rankings are all screwy now. This is a good bantamweight matchup. This is fun. But where it's taking place and when is what's very important. UFC 331. So this is going to be your September pay-per-view in Inglewood, California at the Intuit Dome. This is very interesting, guys. I'm going to tell you why. September is usually a month where you have the France event, where you have the Paris event, I should say. Paris, France, same freaking thing. The UFC Noche event and a Australian event. And instead, for a weekend they usually take off, they've put in a pay-per-view. Nonetheless, in California, which really poses some interesting questions. Who will be defending their championship on this card? Now, there's a lot of options here. Okay, I will throw out Petr Yan Merab. Could that main event? It could. And Merab actually fought in, who did he? He fought at the Intuit Dome. Yeah, UFC 311. Yeah, he defended against Umar. So he has a bit of history there. You could also see Volkan Mozafar. You can kind of throw Volkan Mozafar anywhere, but I would really love to see that main event a Perth card. Like I said, with these numbered events that we now have nowadays, we don't need to have, only title shots on, numbered cards. They can be on your regular everyday, events. So that's an option you could do. Maybe that's the Joshua Van Alexander Pantoja fight. Maybe you do Sean Strickland versus, I don't know, Hamzat Chimaev. That could be fun. A lot of options here, but very interesting fight. I really hope Charles Jourdain wins, but Marlon Vera, it's do or die for him, man. It really is. He has just been losing left, right, and center. It's getting to a point where it's kind of hard to defend the guy. So those are all your new UFC fights. We have just had a plethora of new fights being broken, or being announced, I should say. So let me know who you guys think are going to win a lot of those, because they are all very, very good. Now, I'll tell you what else has been really, really good. That's the World Cup. If you guys didn't know, the freaking World Cup's going on. I think everyone knows about it. And we already know a couple of our quarterfinal matchups. That's right. We are getting down to the Elite Eight, as you may call it, in March Madness. So I just kind of want to talk about who made the round of 32. So a lot of fun stuff took place, but the round of 32 featured, of course, South Africa versus Canada. Canada managed to win that. I wouldn't say it's too much of a shocker. But then in the round of 16, they did lose to Morocco, who did beat the Netherlands in penalty kicks. One of the better matchups that I have seen. Netherlands and Morocco was good. And with Morocco's win, they advanced to the quarterfinals, which will be taking place on Thursday, July 9th. So Morocco, I was told they would be pretty good. I was told that they would be, absolute savages. And it makes sense that they were able to win, as Morocco did come in. Where did they win their group stage? I don't think so. Did they take second? Where did Morocco place? They were in Group C. They went 2-1 in the, what do they call it, the group stage, if you will, and they've managed to make it in. Now, who will they be taking on? None other than France. That's right. France gets past Sweden in the round of 32, 3-0, and then gets past Paraguay in a very fun matchup, 1-0. So, yes, the French have made it. Germany was upset by Paraguay. I found that very fascinating. So, yeah, thought Germany and France would be a fun matchup, but no. Instead, Paraguay made it. They had a good run. All right, they had a good run, but France is here. France has been dominant, and I think I saw a stat that France hasn't lost in a long time, like at all. I know they went 3-0 with a 10-2 goal differential. That's an 8-point goal differential in the group stage. So absolute madness, if you ask me. But yeah, I definitely am picking France. They're my winner since I made my predictions earlier on in the pod. Obviously, I'm rooting for the United States. Obviously, you know, Norway, England, they're fun teams, but even like Portugal and Argentina. But I picked France, and as of right now, they're in the final 8 teams. I'll tell you who else made the knockout stage, and that is the United States. That's right, the United States went 2-1 in the group stage, and then they defeated Bosnia and Herzegovina to make it. As of right now, we are at the, I don't know if they're going to give me a time minute, 37-minute mark, and Belgium's up 2-1. Ooh, so a high-scoring game. We'll take it. We'll see who advances to take on Spain. That is right, Spain, who defeated Austria 3-0, and who defeated Portugal 1-0, scoring in the 91st minute. That is right, Ronaldo loses in the round of 16, in the frickin' first round, if you will, of the knockout stage. Wow. An unfortunate ending for Ronaldo. And, you know, they had 10 shots on goal, just couldn't bury, but Spain dominated them. I'll say that, 15 to 10 shots, 6 to 3 shots on target. Possession was at 56%. They had almost 100 more passes, 6% higher passing accuracy, and more corners. So Spain gets it done. Mikel Merino, he's the absolute stud that they have. Good for him. So Portugal, with a hard-fought win over Croatia, ends up not mattering. Now, quick shout out to Belgium, who had a 2-0 comeback to defeat Senegal. They're the ones currently beating the United States. But I definitely can see Spain advancing. So a French and Spanish matchup in the semifinals would be very, very appetizing. On the lower half of our bracket, Brazil defeated Japan in the round of 32, and Norway defeated Cote d'Ivoire. So, good for them. And then Norway upset Brazil. That is right, Holland, who is actually tied with Mbappe and Messi for most goals at 7 in the tournament. Yeah, absolute stud that Erling Haaland is. Scored in the 79th and 90th minute, and despite Neymar's scoring 10 minutes extra, it just wasn't enough. And I'll say Brazil had 3 more shots. It was a low shot game, and Norway is now going to be in the quarterfinals, or as I call it, the Elite 8. Who will they be taking on? Well, Mexico defeated Ecuador in the round of 32, 2-rip, good for them. And England, after going down 1-0 to the Dominican Republic of the Congo, or the Democratic Republic of the Congo, score 2 straight, shout out Harry Kane, gets it done, and then they have an absolute barn burner with Mexico, and they win. That is right. England beats Mexico. It's going to be Norway and England, and between Norway and England, one of those 2 teams is guaranteed a spot in the semifinals. I find that absolutely outstanding. England's always good, and Holland has just transformed the game. He has over 50 million Instagram followers. Is that not ridiculous? So, Norway and England, that goes down Saturday at 4. I may just have to watch that. Who will they be taking on in the semifinals? Well, Switzerland defeated Algeria 2-rip. Good job for them. And Colombia defeated Ghana 1-0. So Switzerland and Colombia will be playing Tuesday at 3 p.m. That would be July 7th. And the winner of that will advance to the Saturday, quarterfinals matchup. So Switzerland, Colombia. I will be rooting for Colombia, as one of my boys, Ben, is half Colombian. So gotta root for them. Who will they be taking on? Well, Egypt defeated Australia in, might I say, one of the worst penalty shootouts I've ever seen. Penalty kicks. Australia absolutely just ate it. They were beat 4-2. I mean, Egypt made easy work of them. So Egypt is in the round of 16. Who will they be playing? How about, or not the round, is it the round of 16? Yeah, round of 16. Who will they be playing, you may ask? Argentina. An absolute legendary game with Cabo Verde ends with a 111th minute own goal from Argentina, getting it done. Yeah. Wow, what a game. In overtime, Argentina advances. And will they defeat Egypt? Well, they play at 11 a.m. Tuesday, the 7th, and I think we can all agree Argentina should get past Capo Verde. Argentina and Colombia would be a fun matchup. I could definitely see Argentina making it back to the semifinals. And with how everything's shaping up, I'm definitely seeing France and Spain in the Final Four. Also, I'm going to go England and Argentina. I definitely see a path for that. I will say some of the more upsets, Brazil losing and Mexico losing in the round of 16, that sucks. They're both heavy hitters. Neymar actually retired. Fun fact, Australia, I usually think they're in it, but Egypt got past them. Good for them. Now, as right now, USA and Belgium, one of those two teams is going to be in the quarterfinals, and either of them is going to be an upset team. I really hope it's the United States. But at this rate, they're going to need to lock in. Also, how about Trump calling in a favor to FIFA to get Balagun, or Balagun, however you pronounce his name, one of the star forwards, get his red card revoked or whatever. I find that very, very interesting. Some backstage politics, as you may call it. I know backstage politics always play a role no matter what you're into, whether it's soccer, whether it's the corporate world, or maybe either whether it's WWE. Backstage politics are always going to be playing an aspect of things. So that's all I got for FIFA. We'll check back in later this week and discuss everything that went down Monday night, Tuesday, even on Wednesday throughout the day. But as I was talking about WWE, that is right. We've had a lot of big stuff going on. Of course, SummerSlam's being built up. I'm going to SummerSlam, and we have a couple of matchups announced with that under a month away. But what I did want to touch on real quickly was Night of Champions. It did happen 2 Saturdays ago now. Obviously not on the 4th of July. It happened on, what was that, the 27th? Yeah, June 27th. And I just have to touch over what happened on there. So kicking us off real quick, Obafemi wins King of the Ring, defeats Jey Uso. Thank goodness it was an 8-minute match. Wasn't the best. But then on Monday Night Raw, we learned that Obafemi is not challenging for a belt at SummerSlam. No. So it really defeats any purpose of him winning King of the Ring. Like it literally kills any purpose at all. I honestly think they're building up to Obafemi versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But I'll tell you what is official now. The final Brock Lesnar match, I think we could just about guess, is going to be at SummerSlam. It's going to be in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in front of his home team, his home family, his home state of Minnesota. And he'll be taking on Obafemi in their third match in their trilogy in a Hell in a Cell match. That is right. I'm going to get to see a Hell in a Cell match live. I've seen the Elimination Chamber. I've seen a Steel Cage. I've seen 6-man tags. I've seen so many things. I've never seen a Hell in a Cell match. And nowadays it's rare. It's been 2 years since the last Hell in a Cell match. And I am absolutely ecstatic, if you can't tell from my tone, to be able to watch Obafemi and Brock Lesnar in Hell in a Cell. Eject it into my veins. I absolutely love it. So, ended up working out. What's Jey Uso gonna do? I don't know. Some freaking baloney or something. That's what I tell you. Some baloney. Jey Uso is gonna freaking... I don't care about Jey Uso at all. But Obafemi won the King of the Ring. But then it turned out it didn't matter. I'll tell you what else. In the same case, the Queen of the Ring, Io Sky, defeats Liv Morgan in a 15-minute match. Very decent. And she wins the Queen of the Ring. And what does she do immediately after winning? She calls out Liv Morgan, who is she just beat. So, yeah, it kind of kills any hype for this match unless we make it a triple threat, unless they can really build it up. But at this point, I just want to see Io Sky defeat Liv Morgan, win the women's championship. Liv Morgan should have never been in the Queen of the Ring since she is literally one of the champions. WWE kind of butchered the King and Queen of the Ring this year. I don't think they really had a plan, but the right winners for both of those matches took place, and I correctly predicted it. I'll tell you what else I kind of flip-flopped on, and I was a little surprised with the decision, but now it makes sense. Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Steel Cage match, easily the best match of the night. Some people could maybe say second best, but I definitely think this was the best. It felt more like an Extreme Rules Steel Cage match. Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker finally ending their feud, the longest match of the night at 19 minutes, and it was great. It really was. And how does it end? With Braun Breaker being able to win by going out the door, and Seth Rollins says, is that really how you want to win? Is that the man you want to be? And he comes back and he eats a pedigree, and then he eats a super curb stomp from the top rope. What a finisher. Seth Rollins needs to save that as much as he can, because that's a real finisher if you ask me. So Seth Rollins wins. Was kind of torn if they were going to do it, but they did. And then we learned why. And that is because in presumably the main event of SummerSlam Night 2, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. But that match is official. We just learned that last Monday. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, the long-awaited match. We were thinking, are they going to save it for WrestleMania? No, it's going to happen at basically WrestleMania 2.0, which is SummerSlam now. So I cannot believe I'm about to see the long-awaited match. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins live, sitting club level with one of my best friends. Oh, man. I'm hype. I am very excited for that. So Seth Rollins ended up being the correct winner. What are they going to do with Braun Breaker? I couldn't tell you. They've really been booking him awful. And Obafemi, really Braun Breaker should have been where Obafemi is right now, but they held him back, and now he's kind of second fiddle now to Obafemi. But Seth Rollins won the steel cage match and is now taking on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Not WrestleMania, SummerSlam, but going to be legendary. Also on this card, Trick Williams defeats Ricky Saints to retain the WWE United States Championship. About a 10-minute match. I'll tell you something interesting. I don't think Lil Yachty is ever going back to making music. I think he's just committed full-time to be not really the sidekick of Trick Williams, but kind of the hype man of Trick Williams. I absolutely love him. He's going to go down as one of the best managers in WWE history. And I know he's only been with them for a few months, but he's done more than what a lot of guys do. So obviously Trick Williams wins. It was the correct decision. No one really thought he wouldn't. And I think they're building up to Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes at SummerSlam, which if you knew anything about their NXT feud, they work so well together. They have such great chemistry in ring and on the mic. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Ricky Saints probably is going to fall into the mid card. He's really going to need to build himself up some more. But I mean, when you're taking on a guy like Trick Williams, walking out with Lil Yachty, Lemon Pep and Steppers, he's got the fit, the persona, the belt. It's impossible not to root for him. So Trick Williams retains his United States Championship. And at this point in the show, I was kind of thinking, all right, we're going to definitely have at least one title change, because every Night of Champions ever has always had one title change. I figured it would be Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill. But then Tiffany Stratton retained due to some help from Chelsea Green in a 7-minute, 40-second match. It was basically a squash match, and Jade Cargill lost. All right, and this is where things got kind of weird, because the main event was coming up next, and I'm like, are we really about to see Cody Rhodes lose the WWE Championship? Now, before we touch on that, one quick point. Tiffany Stratton is United States Champion. She's from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Actually from Prior Lake, Minnesota, but she's from Minnesota. She needs to defend her belt against Blake Monroe on SummerSlam. That is what you need to feed all of us freaking wrestling fans. That's a great matchup. Those two just looked good together. They fight well together. Let's make that matchup. I don't want to see Chelsea Green versus Tiffany Stratton. Not one bit. So, but please do that. And as for Jade Cargill, it's looking like she may be taking on Charlotte Flair for the vacant Women's World Championship, or WWE Women's Championship, since Rhea Ripley's injured. So I think that's what they're going to do there. But like I said, main event came around. Gunther, Zayn, Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. A little triple threat match. Was the second longest match of the night. Only by 20 seconds, might I say. And it was looking like Cody Rhodes was going to win. All right, there were some great moments going through the table, the barricade, the chemistry was there. All these guys were working well together. We're getting down to the end. Cody Rhodes is going to be in a sleeper. Then he hits a double crossroads on Zayn and Gunther. Gunther rolls to the outside. He hits Sami Zayn with another crossroads. Then he goes for the super crossroads. And Sami Zayn pulls him in front of him, rolls him up, the quick count, 1, 2, 3, Sami Zayn rolls out of the ring. Sami Zayn wins the WWE Championship in Saudi Arabia by pinning Cody Rhodes. I couldn't believe it. I had a feeling when we were going into the main event and no titles had changed. I'm like, they're really about to have Cody drop this, aren't they? And they freaking did. Sami Zayn, what a moment. What a freaking moment is all I'm going to say. It was crazy. And man, Sami Zayn is a WWE champion. It's a rare achievement. You think of some niche WWE champions, Sami Zayn is going to go up there as one of them. Up there with the Jinder Mahals of the world, I'll say. Other guys like that. But yeah, Sami Zayn, what a moment for him. And as we learned, as we have recently learned, he was going to have a match on Monday Night Raw as of tonight with Cody Rhodes. We learned that on SmackDown. It was going to be an official match since it was a roll-up, shenanigans. It looks like Gunther may feud with Nick Aldis. I don't know what's going to go on there. But then my boy Tyler started texting me because he's watching Monday Night Raw right now. And he sent me this, that Cody Rhodes was attacked by Gunther ahead of his match tonight, and he's out. And he also sent me a clip from the promo that CM Punk and Cody Rhodes had post-WrestleMania, where CM Punk said, sometimes championship matches just fall out of the sky, and you gotta go get them. So are we about to see CM Punk and Sami Zayn tonight in a WWE Championship match, and CM Punk wins, and then we get Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk at SummerSlam? I don't know what WWE's cooking, but it may be legendary. But as of right now, as of 7:51 p.m., on Monday night, Sami Zayn is still your WWE champion. I don't know what we're going to be speaking about Wednesday. When I record Wednesday, I don't know who's going to be champion. We're going to talk about it a bit. But all I know is, as of right now, there's a chance CM Punk might win the WWE Championship, which would be freaking awesome. But Night of Champions was a success. I will say it gave us a great moment with Sami Zayn. We rarely get big moments nowadays. I'll say, this really shook things up. Obafemi and Io Sky, everything's kind of playing out well, but there's no need to even do the King and Queen of the Ring. It turned out. Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker stole the show. That's your Night of Champions, and I think that's all the matches we have. I think what's the next thing they're going to do? NXT, the Great American Bash, that already happened. What else do we got? Saturday night's main event. Oh, they have a Saturday night's main event coming at you on July 18th. So actually in about 2 weeks now, there's 2 matches on that. Danhausen versus JD McDonough. Interesting. Paige and Brie Bella versus Fatal Influence for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Coming at you from Madison Square Garden. Yeah, not that hyped about that. But as for SummerSlam, yes, we know every match. Liv Morgan, Io Sky, Obafemi, Brock Lesnar, Hell in a Cell, and Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. So let me know what you guys think is going to happen, because I'm going to be there in person, and you best bet I'm going to have the time of my life. I'll tell you what else I was having the time of my life doing. That was watching UFC Baku. UFC Baku was an absolute success this year. A lot of fun matchups, a lot of good moments. And let's just review it real quick. Usually we go more in depth, but actually we can kind of go somewhat in depth. But I went 9-4 in predictions. Went really well. We nailed some picks, missed some picks, and there were some upsets. Let's dive right in. Alrighty, so UFC Baku went down last Sunday, or not last Saturday, June 27th. And we opened up the event with a little welterweight debut from Tahir Abdullayev and Jefferson Nascimento. Now, Tahir was coming in, he had been on a roll. He was 19-3. He had been killing it out there in the Baku area. That was where he was native from. And he's taking on Jefferson Nascimento, and Nascimento's making his debut. Nascimento is undefeated, and lo and behold, Tahir Abdullayev gets it done. Outstrikes him 35-37 significantly, and 60-54 total strikes. 2 of 6 on takedowns as well. Round 1, kind of close round. Round 2, kind of close round. But round 3, Tahir really led for the takedowns, was landing some pretty decent ground and pound. The ref did kind of stop it prematurely. But, what are you going to do? He was going to win anyway, so Tahir Abdullayev gets his 5th straight win, gets his 10th career knockout, 18 out of 20 wins by finish now, and good for him. Good for Tahir. I love when a hometown boy gets the victory. So what do we do next with him? Well, there's tons of welterweights out there. I'll just matchmake him with someone on this card just to make it easy once we go down the line. But as for Nascimento, also his debut, both of these guys will be back. Both of these guys can easily take on winners and losers of other matchups on this card, so good for them. But Tahir gets us going with a finish. We love to see it. Then we had a very close matchup. A very close matchup. Bekzat Almakhan, Gene Matsumoto. I'll be honest. I thought Bekzat won. And this is yet another close decision. Bekzat loses, which really breaks my heart. It really does. Bekzat Almakhan is the best 1-3 fighter, maybe in UFC history. I kid you not. Legit, this guy is so talented. It's unfair of his UFC record. But he is still going to be 12-4. He drops Gene Matsumoto in round 1. Gene landed more significant strikes, but defended 8 takedowns. Gene went 2 of 10 for only 1 minute and 38 seconds. of control time. But clearly that was enough. Clearly, volume 1 for Gene, and he picks up his fourth UFC victory. First win since August 2025. So good win for Gene. I guess it's a good win for Gene. Now, in terms of the UFC rankings, no changes. Any changes for the meta rankings? I don't think there was anything that really changed there. But, oh yeah, kind of bummed that my Bexot lost, but good for Gene Matsumoto. Both these guys are young. They're still hungry. And I really think Bexot can be a world beater. There's going to be bantamweights out there which he can take on and he can whoop. I mean, let's see him take on the winner of Farid Basharan and whatever guy's taking on, or even Ethan Ewing, or even someone like Rob Font. Like, I'm so confident that he's talented, but Gene Matsumoto ultimately ends up getting it done. So what will we do with Gene? Well, he could take on, I don't even know, Marcus McGee. He could take on Raoni Barcelos. I don't freaking know what to do with the guy, but I'm just kind of upset Bexot Almacan lost. But good win for Gene Matsumoto in terms of the bantamweight division. Gets it done. And then our first of four performance bonuses on this card as Daniil Donchenko with one of the best combo knockouts I've seen in a while over Theodore Berggren. Now, this was obviously a short notice fight for Theodore Berggren. It was supposed to be, who was it, Gustafsson? Who was he supposed to take on? Andreas Gustafsson. Andreas had to pull out. So in steps the young, the hungry Theodore Berggren, and Daniil Donchenko makes it look like he's a young, hungry guy stepping in. Outstrikes him 71-23 and lands a beautiful head kick, drop, knockdown into him scrambling backwards, dropping him again. So just vicious finish from Daniil Donchenko. 9th straight win, 9th career knockout, 11th career finish, and this man is already 3-0 in the UFC. So Daniil will not be fighting down for his next matchup. This man deserves a ranked opponent in the welterweight division. I'm talking maybe the loser of Uros Medic and Daniel Rodriguez, your Serbia main event. Maybe even Joaquin Buckley. Like, I'm going to be honest. I think Daniil Donchenko is talented. He's only 24. He was one of the biggest favorites on this card. I actually think he was the biggest favorite on this card, and he looked every single part of it. So, great work for Donchenko. Improves to 15-2. Absolute legend. For Theodore Berggren, moves to 8-4. I think Theodore versus Jefferson Nascimento is a good matchup to make. Jefferson, Theodore both losing their UFC debuts by TKO. Let's see who really belongs. All right, if anyone disagrees with that, let me know. One of the bigger upsets, in my personal opinion, on this card was Con Offley finishing Javier Reyes. I thought really high of Javier Reyes. I really did. Bro had a great win on the Contender Series. He had a great debut. He had been on a 3-fight winning streak. A lot of finishes, but there's levels to this. And Con Offley showed that. Gets his 3rd straight win. I guess he's legit, and drops him, somehow Javier Reyes survives getting knocked down by him, and just using his high fight IQ, immediately locks up an arm triangle. So, the underdog, Con Offley, 33 years old, gets his 7th career submission, 9th career finish. I cannot hate at all. Respect to him. Featherweight division, look out. Look the frick out, featherweight division, because you clearly have a talented, hungry fighter in your man here, Con Offley, Genghis Khan, if you will. For Reyes, it is an unfortunate loss, but he's only 32. He'll have time to bounce back. There's plenty of other featherweights out there. You can just matchmake him with the guy who Con Offley beat earlier this year, who I didn't think he beat, Yizha. You could just do that. Now, as for Con Offley, like, who's he going to take on? I personally think Gabriel Santos. Gabriel Santos is on a 2-fight winning streak in the featherweight division. I think it's another tough test for both of those guys. But good win for Con Offley. Gets the finish, gets the little upset. That's how you get it done. Next up was middleweight action. Nursultan Ruzaboyev runs through Andre Puliev, just takedown hungry, gets it to the ground, locks in a rear naked chokehold. Andre Puliev goes to sleep bad. Really bad. Nursultan went 2 of 2 on takedowns too, might add. Only absorbed 2 strikes and puts his lights out cold with a choke. I mean, clearly, who was the ref of this contest? I forgot. Who was it? Mark Goddard. Mark Goddard took his sweet time. He really gave Andre Puliev a long time, and the air was clearly the air was no longer with Puliev by the time he pulled them off. So Ruzaboyev gets it done. Good for him. His 3rd straight victory. He improves to 5-1 in the UFC. His first finish since February of 2025, and he will improve to 37-9 with 2 draws and 2 no contests. So, Sutin, middleweight division, have at him. Actually, I'm going to matchmake him with someone in the co-main event, so save yourself for that. But great win for Sutin. For Andre Puliev, he is, 1-3 in the UFC. Isn't that necessarily anything too impressive? They may feed him to a hungry middleweight on the rise. I think just for simplicity, I'll matchmake him with someone later on in the card, a middleweight matchup. But one of the biggest talking points from this card was the light heavyweight division, Abdul Rahman Yakayev. He's one of the best prospects the light heavyweight division has seen. He's what they absolutely need. He's now 3-0 in the UFC. He just got an 8-second knockout of Julius Walker. 8 seconds. He literally went across, landed one big shot, dropped him, and landed 5 follow-up shots. And Jim Paradio stepped in as quick as he could. That's how quick he is. Just a little boom, Walker was dropped, and just bang, 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 and stepped right in. So, Abdul Rahman Yakayev. I thought the Julius Walker would be a tough test for him. No, turned out to be his easiest fight of his entire career, if you look at the timestamps of these opponents. I mean, holy cow. Abdul Rahman Yakayev, his 4th career knockout, 9th career finish. The kid is now 10-0. 10-0. Oh my goodness. 90% finishing rate. All of his wins in round 1, even his Contender Series fight. So Abdul Rahman Yakayev, how much longer do we keep avoiding putting him in against the top opponent? I'm talking your Alonzo Metafields, your Modestas Bukakises, your like a Zhang Mingyang. I think Zhang Mingyang is a really good next opponent for him. He's the perfect mix between high level and not high level, if you get what I'm saying. So you could do that. You could do the Alonzo Metafield, Dustin Jacoby, a lot of options there. As for Julius Walker, I don't know if they're going to bring him back. He's 1-3 in the UFC. He was just knocked out in 8 seconds. If I'm him, I just take some time off. I really do. And maybe he takes on like a Yuran Satabaldi. Maybe he takes on a Dayar Nergose, guys like that. So we'll see. Obviously, did not go well for Julius Walker, and this is probably going to be the fastest finish of the year. 8 seconds. I love seeing fast knockouts. Then our final prelim of the evening, Farman Hasanov and Eric Nolan, and we have a mini Khabib back, and this mini Khabib hails from none other than Azerbaijan. That is right, on the prelims, the Azerbaijan natives go 2-0 as Farman Hasanov gets 17 takedowns on 27 attempts for 11 minutes of control time. And Eric Nolan didn't even land a significant strike in round number 1. So domination, he landed 9 in round 1 to a 5 in round 2 and 3 in round 3, and just dominant. 30-27 across the board. Could have been a 30-25 in my opinion. Farman Hasanov improves to 6-0. There's going to be tests for him out there at welterweight. There's going to be guys like maybe a Daniil Donchenko, maybe even like a is Carlos Leal coming off a win. Carlos Leal would be a fun opponent for him. Maybe, I wish Renat Fakhretdinov was still in the UFC. He'd be a fun opponent for him. But Farman is 30 years old. He went 3-0 in the LFA. He's really talented, and his grappling is clearly bar none, if you want to analyze that. So, great win for Farman. Put him in against a grappler. All right, we really want to see him face an actual grappler. But Eric Nolan is now 0-2 in the UFC, and I think it's just been given just tough opponents, Basaj, Susakarev, and Farman Hasanov. So let's give Eric Nolan a break. Like, I'm going to be honest, let's have Eric Nolan fight a Theodore Berggren. Let's see him fight a Jefferson Nascimento, a Tahir Abdullayev, guys like that. So, great win for Farman. I kind of tuned out at this one because it was just a grapple fest, but it was dominant. It was a dominant showing. Then we got into the main card, one of the better main cards I've seen, and we kicked it off, Abus Magomedov and Michael Okajacek. And look, I picked Abus Magomedov. I didn't think he'd get it done this easily. Fight lasted 3.5 minutes. Dropped him with a punch, immediately locked in a guillotine choke. Abus Magomedov gets it freaking done. That is going to be his first win since April 2025. He's now 4-1 in his last 5. And, I'll be honest, his only losses are to Joe Pyfer, Sean Strickland, and Kyle Barallo. Oh, Zach, who are those guys? Your middleweight champion, the number 5 ranked middleweight, and the number 7th ranked middleweight. So, yeah, clearly Abus Magomedov is very talented, moves to 29-7-1, and good stuff. Called his shot. There's going to be options out there on who he can take on. I'm a little torn on which one to go with, but Gregor Rodriguez is taking on Roman Dolidze, or Gregor Rodriguez is taking on who is he taking on? My mind's blanking here. Gregor Rodriguez and Anthony Hernandez, Christian Leroy Duncan and Jared Cannonier. There's going to be losers of those matchups, and I think that's who you have Abus Magomedov take on. All right, or you have him fight someone else on the come up. Maybe have him fight Ikram Alkaserov. Who knows? But great win for Abus. It really was really dominant. For Olka Jacek, it sucks. It really does. But this is his first loss since joining the Fighting Nerds, and it wasn't an easy fight at all. So Olka Jacek will be back. I would love to see maybe him take on Andrei Pulyev if you want to give him a gimme. But even someone like Nosut Ruzaboyev could take on Abus Magomedov. So this was fun. I love good finishes. And speaking of Ikram Alkaserov, Bruno Ferreira, we've mentioned their names on this podcast. They matched up next. And Ikram Alkaserov, since joining Khabib and Islam's camp, has been good, but he's no longer exciting. He really isn't. He outstruck Bruno Ferreira 47-19, but led with the grappling. 5 of 6, 9 minutes of control time, 114 to 23 total strikes. He does what the Russians do, and that is just grapple. So, yeah, after losing Robert Whittaker, he then didn't fully move his camp to the Khabib thing. Last April, knocked out Andre Muniz, but since October, he's been training with Islam and Khabib. He's 2-0. He's landed 10 takedowns, and that's how he's been getting his wins. So he is 5-1 now, 18-2 professionally. Ikram Alkaserov is a fantastic prospect, but he's 33. So now's the time to get high-profile fights. Ikram versus Abus Magomedov. Ikram versus Nosut Ruzaboyev. Guys like that are how Ikram's going to break into the rankings. Now, in the official media panel rankings, which I consider valid, they actually have him tied with Bo Nickel for the number 15 spot. And as for the, actually, they don't even have him ranked for the meta rankings. Actually, they have him at number 10. Wow, I stand corrected, guys. Ikram Alkaserov is the number 10 middleweight in the world, according to the meta rankings. Yeah, we're going to act like those don't exist the rest of the pod. So, good win for Ikram. Grapples his way to victory. Was it exciting? No, but it gets the job done. For Bruno Ferreira, second straight loss. He's lost to some tough guys. Maybe he gets a gimme. Actually, Bruno Ferreira, Michael Jacek, that's a super fun fight. Let's make that. I've decided and elected right now. That's going to be the next fight to make. All right, the final 4 fights, very entertaining. First up, Asu Almabayev, Charles Johnson. Asu Almabayev is getting better with every performance. Honestly, since losing to Manel Kape, he's gone 3-0 and has looked like an absolute stud. And this win, dominant, gets the Sulov stretch with a minute and a half left in the fight. Dominated Charles on the ground, on the feet, just anywhere this went, Asu was in control. And the kid improves to 24-3. He is now 7-1 in the UFC and is now ranked, following the updated rankings, at number 7 in the world. So who does he take on? Well, there's Kyoichi Horiguchi, there's Tatsuya Taira, and there's the loser of Brandon Royval and Lona Kavanaugh, or dare I say even the winner of that. So a lot of options for Asu Almabayev. Gets a performance of the night, but a Sulov stretch, very rare in the UFC, maybe the 5th one, dare I say, of all time, maybe the 4th one. You know, they're rare, very rare submissions. So great work for Asu. Good job. I picked him winning. For Charles, I do kind of feel bad, but he's been going win-loss since 2025. So there's going to be opportunities to bounce back. There's going to be guys like Edgar Chavez, Andre Lima, Kevin Borjas, Mitch Raposo, guys trying to break into the rankings. Charles will fight them all. Charles, he's a ride or die fighter. All right, and let's never forget, Charles Johnson holds a knockout win over Joshua Van and Lona Kavanaugh, but lo and behold. So good work, fun times. We move on to the biggest upset of the night. At plus 185, Matheus Camilo puts the lights out on Nazim Sadikov. And this was so heartbreaking. It was unfortunate, but man, Nazim Sadikov just gets dropped, kind of covers up, and, you know, one big punch, and that was it. But these two, so this fight lasted a minute and 31 seconds. For a minute and 20 seconds, like, these two were just ghost throwing. Like, Nazim went 0 for 16 on strikes, and significant strikes too, might add. They have him listed 0 for 16, and Matheus went 4 of 10. Up until the finishing sequence, he was 0 for 7. So these two were kind of just bouncing around, almost just like shadow boxing, and then Matheus just landed one big hook. Nazim fell really awkwardly. He kind of grabbed on to Matheus, and it's just kind of how he fell. and the 2-3 follow-up shots he ate, which just left a really weird impression. And, it felt kind of early, especially for being such a high-profile fight, but what you going to do? So, Nazim Sadykhov is somehow on a 2-fight losing streak. I don't think it makes sense to anyone. Like, he's so freaking talented, and it sucks. It really does. Mathus is now 2-1 in the UFC. I have no idea how this guy lost to Gabe Green. I'll be honest. But what's the next fight for Nazim Sadykhov? Well, Terrence McKinney and King Green are fighting, and I think maybe the loser of that could be an option. I think Chris Duncan. I think Esteban Ribovics. There's just so many guys out there, and I'm being just so serious. Like, he's so talented. Maybe we give him a gimme fight like Darius Flowers, or maybe like Kai Kamaka III. I know he's fighting coming up, but man, this one really sucked. I'm a big fan of Nazim, but nothing but respect to Mathus Camilo. He's going to get a big opponent. Maybe he'll get like a Fair Zayam. Maybe he'll get like a Tom Nolan. Lots of guys out there. But yeah, big upset. Mathus Camilo drops and finishes Nazim Sadykhov. Did not see that coming. But the warning signs have kind of been there with Nazim. I'll date it all the way back to when he joined the UFC. Evan Elder dropped him, all right, in their fight. The only reason that fight was stopped is because of a cut. Terrence McKinney almost finished him in round 1. He fought Vyacheslav Borsov to a draw. The Ishmael Bonfim fight was stopped because there was a injury, and Nicholas Mota almost finished him, and he was recently knocked up by Farzam. So maybe Nazim isn't as good as we gave him credit for, but I really hope he bounces back. This was probably the worst loss in his career, and we'll see what he can do. Co-main event, Shara Magomedov and Michelle Pereira. Was this fight weird? As expected, yes, it was weird. And Shara Magomedov with one of the worst callouts I've ever seen. So for starters, Shara loses round 1. Michelle drops him, outstrikes him significantly 16-6. Here's the weirdest thing. Michelle Pereira hung in there in the significant strikes. In the total strikes, complete 180. 112-61 in favor of Shara. Significant strikes, 52-35 in favor of Shara. Michelle wins round 1, and like every Michelle Pereira fight, if he doesn't finish you in round 1, it's game over. He's outboxed 20-6 in round 2 and 26-13 in round 3. So Shara Magomedov wins, okay? He then calls out Sean Strickland. What are you doing? He then is like, Sean Strickland is a paper champion. Sean Strickland only fights in the States. He won't come and fight me outside of the United States. And I'm like, bro, Shara Magomedov, you're not that good. This fight kind of showed the skill level of Shara Magomedov. Now, mind you, he's 17-1. He's, what is he now, he's 6-1 in the UFC. Wow, I did not even realize that. But his only loss is the MVP in a close matchup. Let's test him. Let's really test him. Let's have him fight a Gregory Rodriguez. Let's have him fight Israel Adesanya. Low-key, I'm going to be honest. Israel Adesanya versus Shara Magomedov, it makes so much sense. It really does. As goofy as it sounds, I think it makes a lot more sense than people are giving it credit for. But Shara gets it done. Good for him, for Michelle Pereira. It's a tough loss, but it's an expected loss. All right, but he's also 1-4 in his last 5. So, Michelle Pereira, who should you take on next? I know exactly who he should take on next. And where is it? It is, who did I elect? Did I say Nursultan? Did I say you should fight Nursultan Rozaboyev, or did I say you should fight Bruno Ferreira? I don't freaking know. There's middleweights out there to be fought. I think I said maybe Nursultan Rozaboyev would be a good fighter. Maybe Bruno Ferreira. I don't know, but Shara wins just as expected. A little bit of trouble in round 1, but nothing he can't deal with. And I'll tell you, don't be deceived by round 1, and that's the main event. Rafael Fiziev, Manuel Torres. And where's this Rafael Fiziev been the last few years? This is the most aggressive Rafael Fiziev I've ever seen. All right, round 1 goes 2 for 2 on takedowns. Was outstruck 21-15 and kind of lost the last exchange. But I'd say that, on most people's scorecards, he would have won round 1. Round 2, like a bullet out of a gun, launches himself at Manuel, drops him, starts landing some follow-up punches, and knocks him out in 15 seconds. I mean, what in the world? Rafael Fiziev's first knockout win in 4 years. Holy cow. Credit to him. 9th career knockout. Fiziev making this look not even close. First performance bonus in almost 4 years. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So Fiziev is back in the win column. Fiziev is now ranked at number 10 in the rankings now. And Manuel Torres, they keep him on at 15, but bro is not ready. All right, Bro was doing good in the exchanges in round 1, but, like literally a bullet out of the gun. Fiziev just ran at him, lands a big punch, drops him, and then just stays on the hunt, stays on the attack, and in a 15-second period landed 10 significant strikes. I mean, Manuel threw one as he was falling backwards, but, was not enough. So Rafael Fiziev gets it done. I did not see that coming. Manuel Torres suffers a defeat, and we now know his ceiling. It's clearly just, he can beat a lot of guys outside the top 10, but no one really in the top 10. So I think someone like a Tom Nolan, someone like a Matheus Camilo. Matheus Camilo, honestly, I think would be a fantastic fight. Let's make that happen next. Maybe Esteban Rivovics, but I mean, I'm great for Fiziev. Really happy for him. And he called out, who did he call out? I can't remember. He wanted to fight for the BMF belt, I think, which I absolutely love. And if I'm being honest, if Charles Oliveira is not going to fight Arman Sarukian, let's do Charles and Fiziev. I think that matchup wasn't as exciting in October. Remember when Fiziev had to pull out due to injury and instepped Matheus Gamrot? But after Charles has gone out and submitted Matheus, dominated Max Holloway, he kind of has some status now. He's technically the BMF champ. Fiziev is coming off a big knockout win. Let's make that fight. Let's rebook it. I really think we should. Now, we also live in the reality where he was just knocked out by Mauricio Ruffy, who's ranked at number 7. Charles maybe aiming for bigger fights, if I'm being honest. If McGregor wins or if Arman Sarukian, which I think is a real possibility. So we'll have to see. He kind of falls in this weird range where he can only really rematch a Matheus Gamrot or a Dan Hooker. And then if Quinlan Sakyad wins, he jumps him. So, the division's getting weird, but Fiziev gets it done. Happy for him. I think Manuel Torres will bounce back just fine, if I'm being honest, but the kid is just not ready. A 31-year-old kid, I should say, is not ready. But UFC Baku, an absolute success. When I compare it to last year's UFC Baku event, I think that this clears it. I really do. We had so many decisions last year, and this year we had so many finishes. So lots of fun. It was a good time, and I'm happy I was able to, review it with you guys real quickly here because I was just, I was pushing it off, recording the episode, and I just had to give my thoughts. But we had 9-4 in predictions. I was more shocked than upset in the main event. I wasn't mad at that. The Nazim Sadikov loss sucked. Khan Offley over Javier Reyes really shocked me. And then Gene Matsumoto and Bekzat Almakhan pissed me off because I did not think the decision went the right way. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the future, and the future holds big things. McGregor, Holloway 2 coming at you later this week, ladies and gentlemen. And I've been really wanting to root for Conor McGregor, but 75% of the money is on McGregor. And I'm starting to lose the funness I had around McGregor now. I realize everyone's betting on him. I thought it would have been more fun if everyone was betting on Holloway. But let's be real, guys. Max Holloway has been so active in the time since Conor McGregor's last fight in July of 2021. Since July of 2021, Max Holloway has had 8 UFC fights. All right, 8 UFC fights, okay? McGregor has had his last 8 UFC fights span 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, span a 6-year period from 2021 to 2015, okay? So, I don't know what that correlation means. But what I'm saying is that, his activity is just off the charts for Max Holloway as opposed to Conor McGregor. And, I'll be honest, let's not forget, this boy whooped Dustin Poirier. Even though Dustin had moments, this boy knocked out Justin Gaethje. But, another thing to give Conor McGregor some props for, and this is going to come into effect for who I predict will win, is going to be the fact Max Holloway has been getting chinned. Justin Gaethje unofficially dropped him. Ilia Topuria knocked him out. Dustin Poirier did drop him in round 2. And Charles Oliveira clipped him every time they exchanged on the feet and then dominated him on the ground. So, when these two fought way back in 2013 in his second UFC fight, McGregor lent on the grappling, and he might have to do it here. But I'm going to be honest. It is Monday the 6th. I'm still not counting my cards that McGregor's going to be there. I remember International Fight Week 2 years ago. I was certain McGregor would fight, and he didn't end up fighting. So that really made me sad. So I'm trying not to think about that possibility, but it dang near might happen. So we'll see. Other fun fights, Benoit Saint Denis and Paddy Pimblett. I love both of them. I really don't want to see anyone lose. it's going to come down to the grappling. Like, striking-wise, these two can have probably the same level of striking. I'll be honest. The same knockout power, the same like kind of just goofiness. It's going to come down to when Benoit shoots for takedowns, will he be able to avoid getting submitted? And if Paddy shoots for takedowns, will he be able to avoid getting reversed? So I think that's going to be a banger of a lightweight matchup. Corey Sandhagen, Mario Bautista, that's just going to be such a technical masterpiece. Brandon Royval and Loner Kavanagh, I'm really torn on, because a part of me just thinks like Brandon Royval right off rip, but also I've been giving Brandon Royval way too much credit as of late, and he keeps losing. King Green and Terrence McKinney, lightweight boys, just throwing down. Someone's going to sleep. Nikia Krylov and Robert Whitaker. How will Robert Whitaker look at light heavyweight? I think he'll look fine. I think he'll beat Nikita Krylov, but who knows? Nikia Krylov is sneaky good. Gable Stevenson is, as of now, trending to be the biggest favorite in UFC history at minus 4,000. I think the current biggest of all time was Bo Nickel against Val Woodburn. Correct me if I'm wrong, so we'll have to see. Cody Garbrandt and Adrian Yanez, going to be a boxing affair. The undefeated Luke Riley is in action. Tracy Cortez and Wayne Kong, that's a fun women's flyweight matchup. Someone's going to sleep between Damian Penis and Cesar Almeida. I know I call him Penis. His last name is Pinas, Pinas. I call him Penis. That's not funny. I'm sorry. Then, of course, we talked about Fareed Basharat and his short notice opponent, Alessandro Costa and Cody Durden. And then also Ryan Gondra is going to be having his second UFC fight. He's a Season 9 Dana White's Contender Series guy, got a 41-second knockout at UFC Mexico City, and he takes on Zachary Reese, who I know is hungry for a victory. So, going to be fun. Goes down this Saturday, July 11th, and I will be watching this. I don't care where I am. I don't care who I'm with. I will be watching this. So, a lot of fun stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I've been meaning to record. I really have. I've been pushing it off. I've been, just kind of enjoying life. And, here we are, finally able to get to recording. My mic was kind of acting weird, though. I was a little upset. It was kind of sounding a little glitchy. So I'm glad we got through this. Thank you so much. We'll catch you next time. Official predictions. We're going to dive in depth to everything UFC 329, UFC Conor McGregor, Max Holloway. We'll discuss what happened in the World Cup. We'll also discuss what happened on Monday Night Raw and what that means for all the future holdings in the entertainment world. So stay groovy. Stay amazing. I love you all. Jesus loves you. God loves you. And I'll catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.